So you want me to mention the 5 languages of love?
Yes, and then we can discuss this. Hello there. Hello.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so the 5 languages of love, according to Dr. Gary Chapman, it's a really, really actually helpful and good book. I feel like it's a good book for everyone to have. I actually have one of it as well. I got it a couple years back, and I've never thought of using it. And I just feel like once Bushra mentioned it, I was like, you know what? I have this book, and I never really even read it that much. So it's like a good thing to have. And it's very short, very easygoing. So the book talks about words of affirmation, talks about quality time, talks about receiving gifts, acts of service, and physical touch. So he says that these are the 5 important things that showcase the language of love.
Right. And these are the 5 elements that actually, if you start practicing them today, can actually make your relationship better. So I will talk about the words of affirmation, and then you can take the next one.
Okay.
So words of affirmation can be encouraging each other, saying kind things to each other. Hey, you look nice today. Hey, the food is very delicious today. These are things that really encourage your partner, makes them feel appreciated, makes them want to be in that relationship, makes them want to do a little bit more in the relationship. You know what I mean? So perhaps sending a nice text to your partner, just out of the blue, out of nowhere, just saying, hey, looking forward to seeing you tonight. You know, how nice is that to be in a relationship where someone appreciates you and says something nice to you? So words of affirmation is very important part of this. You can go ahead and take the next one, Humera.
Okay, the next one is quality time. And I feel like, during the pandemic, we've been having a lot of quality time with each other, but it's how you have that quality time. It's just not being there just to be there. So in the book, they talk about having quality time with giving your partner undivided attention, just being there in the moment, being visible and spending time with that person, just being together, paying attention to each other, sharing something meaningful together, listening, communicating. So it's kind of like being there with somebody, but making that meeting actually meaningful to both of you.
Without distraction, without looking at your phone.
Exactly, yes. Without distraction, without looking at anything else, just giving your undivided attention to that one person that, you're in a relationship with.
Absolutely. The next one is acts of service. Acts of service is such a powerful one. I think if you are struggling to do something as a wife, and your husband comes in and says, hey, let me help you with that.
Yeah.
That is music to my ears. That is music to my ears. If you come out and say, hey, I got that. Let me help you with that. It could be a very small thing. When we say acts of service, it doesn't have to be something huge. You can go, get the grocery bags from the car, or you could get my car, serviced, or you could do something nice for me. That will be an act of service, and I will feel valued. So you feel respected, you feel valued, you feel like, I want to be in this relationship where I'm getting such positive vibes, So you said, which one did you talk about? Quality time. We talked about words of affirmation. We talk about act of service. Please go ahead and take the next one.
Yes, there's receiving gifts. So with receiving gifts, it's like basically it's not only giving a gift and receiving a gift. It's more of like having a thoughtfulness effort behind it, that you actually took time out to give something, or it shows that you're caring or thinking about that person when you're giving them this gift. It's like actions speak louder than their words. A gesture tells your partner you cared about them, and that's what you were thinking of them to, get something for them that's really something that they need or something that they wanted. Just shows a lot.
Absolutely. It could be a gift of time. It could be a gift of, being there for them, not forgetting important occasions, Somebody over here made a comment. Could you read that?
Let's see. Jay wrote, it could as simple as be opening a door for them. Exactly. It's just really, really small gestures that just make someone feel, really happy inside. And sometimes these little things actually go a long way. We don't think about these little things, and we think, oh, it's not a big thing. But these little things actually build up and show so much to a person. So that's important.
I mean, I'll tell you, it will make my day if somebody pulls out a chair for me or opens a door for me. Those are very small things, but it makes a difference. I think J Road he's a relationship pro now. You know, he has some good comments. Hello, Isha. Hello, or pulling out a chair. There we go.
Yes,
He's ready. He's a pro at this relationship language.
exactly.
And the next one is an important one. It is physical touch, okay? But using non-verbal communication, non-verbal body language to show your affection. It does not always have to be sexual. Hello there. Hello, Isha. Hi, welcome to our show. We are talking about the 5 language of love and how do you make your partner feel so vivacious and loved and happy to be with you, you know. So we already talked about words of affirmation. We talked about receiving gifts. We talked about quality time. We talked about acts of service, and now we're talking about physical touch.
Yeah, J Road said, "I'm a former relationship guru."
Okay, well, you know, maybe we can learn a few things from you.
Exactly. Maybe you can add some things towards the end and we can, use them here.
Yeah, a man's perspective for sure.
Yes.
Okay, so the physical touch aspect is like holding hand, like, you know, perhaps just pat on the back or just, you know, an eye contact, you know, not neglecting your partner, not letting them feel like they're not wanted, they're not loved, they're not cherished. You know, you have created a haven together, a safe haven. Make it a place where your partner feels loved, valued, respected, where they have the opportunity to grow, where they're not walking on eggshells, you know. And once you start the positivity, when you start giving the positivity, you will start receiving it also.
I feel like the one person has to make the initiative to show it, to receive it. You can't keep expecting, oh no, I'm going to be waiting. You know, sometimes it's good to take the lead and take the initiative to do something. You're going to see what the response you get is so much more magnificent and great. Also with the physical touch, I wanted to add, you know, it's like the most direct way of communication. It's to communicate love. It's like the most direct way with no, like you said, Bushra, no words needed, nothing needed. It's just the most direct way to show someone like, hey, like I'm here, or just like a pat on the back or something, you know, while they're speaking, you know, maybe just like move something out of their face or, you know, whatever the case may be. It definitely calms you, heals you, it reassures that you're content in your relationship and you guys have like a, you know, close bond.
I know, I agree with you. I definitely agree with you. Go ahead and read that comment.
Jay Road, our guru wrote, I think relationship is all about giving your all without expecting nothing in return. That's a good point. I feel, you know, having expectations of any kind usually leads to, you know, like, how do you say it? Disappointment. Disappointment.
Do you think so? I mean, I agree. I agree with Jay in a way
exactly. Go ahead.
That, you know, you can't, you have to give it your all, but I think it's okay to have expectations.
Yes.
You know, because, you know, you need to let the other person know what is it that you would like from them, because you're in this relationship, so you can be, you know, your needs can be met as well.
Yes, exactly.
So there is nothing wrong with giving your all, but you should also be on the receiving end. You know, he doesn't agree with us.
I definitely agree with you. Like I was saying, like I feel like it does lead to expecting sometimes leads you to disappointment. But I feel like when you're doing so much for someone, you know, I feel like there's no way that they're not gonna send it back to you. I feel like if you're giving positivity and you're showing the loves of the language of loves to everybody, I feel like someone must be really, really not liking you or hating you to not give it back. You know, I'm not expecting it, but I feel like if you show that much to somebody, I'm pretty sure they're gonna give it back to you. You know.
Yeah, Absolutely, it is your opinion, and I do agree with you on when you say that give it your all. But it's okay to want a little bit back, also, Jay.
Yeah, you can't
you know,
exhaust yourself, you know? You can't just say, like, okay, I'm going to do everything for this person and just keep blindly doing it and not giving anything in return. Then that kind of goes back to the key points that we talked about. Is that person respecting you? Is that person showing you affection? Is that person communicating with you in a proper way, you know? Everyone
Yeah.
needs something. You can't just expect to do everything and exhaust yourself and not have self-care and just, you know. So it's like there's a downside to that.
Okay, so there is one comment by Isha. Isha is saying, let's see. Can you go back?
Yeah,
Let me go.
it's not possible to not have expectations from your spouse. Exactly. That's what you said, Bashra. It's not possible to not have expectations from your spouse because it's like you do so much. And I feel like if you in your mind think you're doing the best you can and you're showing everything you can show, I feel like your spouse not giving that back to you, just they must not really love you. They must not really care. They just not, don't want to put any effort in.
Or maybe sometimes the other person doesn't expect, doesn't realize what's happening. If they keep doing for you and you're not doing back for them, and maybe you need to open up, communicate that you have some needs also. Maybe the other person doesn't realize that they're not doing enough for you. Absolutely, Isha, it will break you because marriage can be a heavy thing. It's a beautiful thing, but it comes with so much responsibility. It comes with so much, there are so many aspects to it: relationships, children, chores, financial issues. So you have to have a give and take between husband and wife. Jay has written something, and I want to come to that. He wrote,
so if they aren't giving it back to you, stop giving. So when you stop giving, then they would realize. That's a little bit harsh, I feel. He's definitely going in the other route. That one.
The thing is, you don't have to stop giving, but what you can come out and say is, hey, have a conversation. This is a time when you need to have a conversation. If you feel like you're the only one doing things and the other person is not doing anything, then maybe this is a time for you to come out and say, hey, listen, I love doing these things for you. I love you. And, these things come from my heart. However, it will, these are my expectations. This is what I would like for you to do for me as well. I think there's nothing wrong with being open and direct with your spouse, and letting them know that your needs are perhaps not being met. That's the open communication.
Yes, I feel like that's the main thing. What we're talking about, we're bringing up, is to kind of be vocal, be able to communicate, be able to discuss these things, and sit down together, make a plan for yourself. You can't be passive aggressive. I feel like that sends mixed signals, and that kind of confuses things in a relationship. You can't, expect someone to know what you're thinking and what you're doing, because if you stop giving, they may not know why you stop giving or what's going on. Sometimes we think people know and they know what's going on, but trust me, they don't know unless you communicate and you tell them. That's the only way.
Okay. I don't know what your experience is, Jay. He's saying conversation, then what is it? When you have a conversation, then you care a lot. Yes, having a conversation does mean that you do care about this relationship and you want to, figure out how to make it better. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's not good. Okay. So he's saying sometimes it's good to have a conversation and sometimes it's not. Yeah. Well, you have to select, you have to pick and choose. You cannot fight and have conversations about every little thing, but you have to choose what is it that you essentially need. Mm-hmm. Your needs have to be fulfilled in a marriage, in a relationship. And if they are not being met, then I think it's time to have a conversation. I think what you say with J Road is are we pronouncing that right? Hopefully J Rod or Road.
You just took
just to say to him that it's probably a personal thing for him. Maybe for him it's not helpful to communicate every little thing, or maybe it works in his relationship. It works with him where he wants to give all he wants and he doesn't really care about getting much in return. So if that works for you and that's making you happy, then maybe that's working for you. And if it's not making you happy and you're not feeling right inside, then maybe you need to communicate about it, and like Bushra said, there's things that you pick and choose to communicate with. If you feel like this communication will be helpful for your relationship, do it. But if you feel like it will not, and I feel like it's definitely avoid it. You have to do what also works for you individually in a relationship. You can't expect all relationships to be the same either. So if it works for you, then I guess do what's best for you.
Yeah, and like what Isha said, if you keep giving, you will break at some point. And I agree with that. A relationship comes with a lot of responsibility, emotional challenges, there is physical responsibilities that you have. And if you just are on the giving end, there will be a breaking point. So I think it's good to, and like Homera said, and I absolutely agree with you. If that is working for you in your relationship, then it's working for you, then go with it,
If you're happy,
then fly with it.
yes, if you're happy and you're okay with not communicating things, and you both are happy and making it work, of course not. But I feel like when you see it's not working and you're feeling like those little hiccups are coming along, then that's where you probably need a communication or like an intervention. And all the points we mentioned today, maybe you need to educate yourself, or ask us questions anytime you can, and we can give you more pointers and stuff to work on that.
He's saying the relationships are overrated. I think relationships are, we talk about today, any basic relationship, the ground, the foundation work is, again, having respect for each other. Define respect, define boundaries, define how you're going to communicate. Talk about what are your rules for communicating. You cannot just be going back and forth, and then I bring something that happened 50 years ago.
Yes.
I bring that, and then we keep on talking. Your conversation has to be purposeful.
Right.
Something has to come out of it, So having those 4 elements, and then having this, there are certain things that you do, the rules of engagement. What are the rules of engagement? You use I statements. What else? Would you want to go over that, and then we're going to wrap it up?
Yes. Rules of engagement was like, planning ahead of addressing issues that you have, so the matters don't escalate in beforehand. Using I statements, speaking for yourself. Don't speak for someone else's behalf. Sometimes when you say I feel a certain way, a person is more responsive to hear, this is how they feel, and that's what they're voicing to me, instead of like saying you did this or you do that or you don't do this. And then it was active listening. Active listening, I feel like is very, very important, because sometimes we listen to respond, or we listen to like not understand. You need to listen
to argue.
Listen to understand and reflect back. And the way to show someone that you're listening is kind of like reiterating what they just said, and kind of like going over, is this what you mean? So the communication is not lost. Sometimes we hear something and the person may not have said that. So that's why it's good to reflect back, so you kind of can see, okay, this is what you're meaning. And then take a break from escalation. Don't always be in front of face to face and going at each other. Separate and come back. These are very important rules of engagement.
Yeah, to avoid the escalation. Jay has brought something up that I do want to talk.
Is